MacBook Pro just came out. It has the M1 processor with neural processing unit, GPU, and CPU combined. I'm going to go ahead and open this up and we'll try it out with loading on Python, and we'll see the performance. I'm going to compare it to some of my other computers that I use right now. And okay, so just opening up the box. And this one has a terabyte hard drive, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and again that M1 processor that they've been talking about. So here is the computer. Here it looks like it's take it out. There we go. Okay, so this is actually a little bit smaller than I thought it was going to be. I have a Surface Pro right now, and so this is the first time that I'm using a Mac. Just turned on for the first time, and I'll open it up and go ahead and load on Python. We'll see what's compatible and what isn't. Sometimes what happens with new processors that come out is that we don't have all the software that's compatible. Rosetta 2, obviously they're saying that's going to be compatible. We'll do some benchmarks with Python, loading it, and just see how well it performs. And I think over time we're going to see programs start to exploit neural processing.
Press the return key.
Okay, it says use the English language, press the return key. So we're going to see more capabilities in the software. I'm excited to do that also for the Gecko optimization suite that I maintain and some of the other software to see if we can start exploiting some of the combined GPU, CPU, and neural processing units.
Did the Mac connect it to the internet, let's do its thing. Let's just see how much it took in terms of, looks like data received was 8.33 gigabytes. That was just to update the programs and the operating system. And it looks like, the Big Sur, there is a tour that you can take here, but we're just going to jump right in to see what's available and from the terminal. So I already removed some of the icons I know I probably wouldn't use, and just put the terminal there. And let's just do where Python. Okay, so Python is installed, and we'll just look at the default version of Python that comes on the MacBook Pro. It's 2.7.16. All right, so there it is. We have Python already. It's 2.7, but we're going to install 3.9.1, which is, I believe, the version that's now updated for the M1. Okay, now what we want to do is just take a look and see what's available through GCC. Those are some of the developer tools. And so I'm just going to do GCC version. And it looks like nothing is available right now, but it gives me this pop-up window. It says it requires a command line developer tools. Would you like to install the tools now? So I'll go ahead and click install. And as you agree, it's going to go out and get the software. So this is nice. It looks like it was going to do everything for you in terms of setting it up. You just ask for it here, and it is going to try to install it for you on the GCC and some of those other tools that you need for development. Okay, so it just says it's installing software right now. And as this is going, I'm just going to check out Python 3 as well, just see if there is a Python 3 version. Okay. Okay, it looks like there's you can choose an option here as well. I'll just go ahead and let this finish installing, and then after it finishes installing, then we'll see if we can install Python 3 as well and just see how it works. I'll do some benchmarks with it as well. Finished installing, and GCC and some of the developer tools. Let's just see what's going on now. GCC, we'll do version. All right, and so there are some of the versions of C++ that you see, and some of the other packages that were installed. Okay, so let's go ahead and just try Python 3 now. See, okay, so that did install Python 3.8.2, but that's not the latest version of Python that's going to be able to work with Mac OS. So let's go to the web and just get Python download. We'll search that. It's going to be python.org/downloads, and we're going to get the latest version. Okay, and this is 3.9.1. All right, we'll go ahead and allow this, and it will download it. All right, and I just double clicked on that. To install Python, you need to install Rosetta. Do you want to install it now? All right, I'll go ahead and install it. Okay, it's installed. Now this should be Rosetta 2, I think. I'm not entirely sure, but that's what I was seeing on the websites. Go ahead and continue. Accept, okay, agree. And it says it'll take up 118 megabytes of space. And that's fine. Okay, with multiple versions of Python, we'll also need to manage, what we, in terms of which one we use by default when we type Python 3. Okay, so it looks like it's installed. And so let's go ahead and just try. All right, I'll hit the command space, and let's just do another terminal. Okay, it just took us back to this one, and I'll type where Python 3. Okay, so it looks like we have multiple versions of Python installed now. Okay, the default is still 3.8.2. Okay, so what we need to do now is just switch over to the 3.9.1, and just the fact that it needed Rosetta to run this means that it is not the current version that supports the M1 processor itself. And so I think we're going to see, developments like that, that are going to be put out to have the M1 processor supported natively. Okay, one way to bring up 3.9.1 without changing the paths is you can go command space and just search for IDLE, and that is going to bring up the IDLE editor. You can see it's 3.9.1 here. All right, and then the other thing we'll want to do is start adding packages as well. So what we need to do is go where Python, okay, and then also where pip3. So we need pip3 as well in order to be able to manage our packages. And pip is one of the package managers. There's also brew, that Homebrew, which is on the Mac, and pip is typically what you use on other platforms. So we're going to dig into the details of which one we use for. All right, when I open up a new terminal and type Python version, I see that it has Python 2.7, but when I do Python 3 version, now it says, let's see, inactive developer path. Okay, so it looks like there were some problems once I rebooted. It says missing XC run. And so it looks like there was a version update, and let's just go to, okay, we need the Z profile, and so let's just do more.z profile. And it looks like I have, Python 3.9 there listed in my path, and I added that automatically, but it looks like there's a problem with that now. let's just do where Python. Okay, so it looks like it just has it in the user bin Python, so it can't find it anymore. It may have uninstalled it during the latest update. So let's just go back to IDLE. To open IDLE, you need to install Rosetta. Do you want to install it now? I'll go ahead and click install. And I'd already done that. I'm not sure why it uninstalled it for me. Let's just try that again, because it looks like it didn't like it, uninstalled it for me. There's Python 3.9. Okay, but I want to use it from the command line. Okay, so there's Python 3.9. So it fixed that problem. Looks like Rosetta was uninstalled for some reason during the most recent update. Now I want to go ahead and do a couple performance benchmarks. So what I'll do now is just use my pip3 package manager to install PyPerformance, for example. And I probably need some of my other packages installed as well. So I could do that first. I'm just going to do Python 3 and pip, and then I'll do install. And then let me just get some of the standard ones. I can do them one at a time like this, or I can install, multiple. Okay, so it says that pip is available. All right, so let's do Python 3. Okay, pip install, and then I'll do upgrade pip just to get rid of this error message or warning message. All right, so now I have the latest version of pip, and then I want to get some of the common packages that I use, like scipy, matplotlib, and others. So I'll just start with a couple of these at first, and it'll install the dependencies as well. Okay, and let me just go ahead and get some of the other ones that I like to use as well. This is going to be for you're going to have your own list, and you're just going to install them. If you find a package you don't have, just come back and install it like this. So sklearn, okay, it looks like I have some errors that were encountered. Okay, it looks like it's not compatible with this version. So that's going to be one of the challenges with this, is that when you install the latest version of Python, sometimes the packages are not yet compatible. So sometimes what you need to do is just go back to an earlier version. Okay, earlier version of Python. I think I'm going to need to do that. Maybe go back to 3.8. Oh, that's too bad. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go back to 3.8 and uninstall 3.9.1. So I'll just have to go back to 3.8, and I can change that in my here in my, let's just go back to I'm going to come back to more and then .z profile. Okay, so I'm just going to edit this to remove this Python 3.9 and just use the default version that's in that's going to be that came with the developer tools. All right, so I'm going to Emacs. I don't know if I have Emacs on here yet. I might have to install that as well. Okay, I think there's VI. Don't know how to use VI as well, but let's just see if I can figure this out. I want Emacs. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to come back and figure out how to figure out how to edit this, and I think actually what I can do is just delete this file and create a new empty.z profile. Okay, I don't even know how to exit. Okay, this is VI. I'm going to terminate this one and come back. Okay, so what I need to do now is get Homebrew. I need to install that so that I can have some of my editors. I want to be able to edit Z profile. Okay, to put it best back to 3.8 because we had a problem with some of the packages that were installed. 3.9.1. Now we're going to go back to an earlier version, but let's try this with Brew instead. So we're going to use Homebrew, and I'll just type install Homebrew, and let's see if we can get this to work. Okay, so here's Homebrew. I'm going to copy this, and let's just come to the terminal and paste it here. Ask for a password. Okay, it says Homebrew is not yet supported on ARM processors. Okay, so we'd have to run it under Rosetta 2. Looks like we can do this, but oh, okay. So it looks like there is an ARM installation for Brew. But again, I think we're running into some things here with the ARM processor. Things aren't yet supported. It might be just a little bit too new right now. So Homebrew isn't working yet. So what we're going to do now is just go and install from python.org, and we'll get 3.8 instead. So let me go to python.org, and instead of getting 3.9 or 3.91, going to go to all releases. Okay, and come down here to looking for a specific release, and let's go with this one, 3.8.6. so we'll go ahead and get that one instead, and let's see if I can find the right one. Okay, so I want the package. Okay, so let's see if I can find it. I'll go all releases, and let's look for Mac OS X, and we'll get the installer here. Let's go with this one. Okay, so it's going to go ahead and download it. And once that finishes downloading, we're going back to an earlier version because some of the libraries were not yet supported. So Python itself can run, but again, Python is very useful because of a lot of the packages that are available with it. So it's going to take a little bit for those packages to catch up. All right, and okay, so let's just see what's going on here. I'll go ahead and close this. And let me just make sure that is running. Okay, so here's the installer, and I'll go ahead and continue, and I'll agree and install. Okay, so it's going to finish up the installation, and then let's go and just make sure everything is working. If I click IDLE, it's going to open this up, Python 3.8.6. Okay, and let's just open up the terminal as well, and let's look at the Z profile just to see, okay, that it added that. And if I do Python 3, okay, I have that available. Okay, so now let's close this, and I'll move the installer to the trash. Okay, and now what I want is, let's go ahead and do, okay, so let's go ahead and pip. We'll do python-m pip. I need to do Python 3. Pip install, and then let's go ahead and try some of these packages. Here's NumPy. And then we'll get some of the other ones as well. So we just need to go through this process again because we had installed for, okay, the Python 3.9. I'll go ahead and upgrade pip, just so I don't get that warning message each time. And then let's go ahead and just do scipy, matplotlib, and some others. And then we'll try the other one, the sklearn, which is the one that we wanted originally, but it wasn't compatible with the Python 3.9.1 yet. So let's try that again. Okay, after this finishes, we have scipy downloading right now. Okay, and it's going to go ahead and install all of the dependencies. And now the test is sklearn. Okay, very good. We have sklearn. Let's try some others like Keras. And that installed successfully as well. Okay, so now we have Python installed, and we could go and do benchmarks, but I'm just going to skip those for right now. This is the installed version. If you want to use Python 3, you have that available, and has some of these dependencies installed that we. Final thing that we want to do is install Jupyter Notebook, and so I'm going to do Python m pip. So I need to do Python 3 pip install, and then I want to do Notebook. That's going to install Jupyter Notebook so I can run Jupyter from a web browser. It's going to install all the dependencies that I need. Okay, and it'll do setup and install. And then you can also do, there's also the nice Jupyter Lab, which is kind of the newer version of Jupyter Notebook. Eventually, things are going to be going towards that with the integrated development environment. And so now hopefully I should be able to do Jupyter Notebook and start up a new notebook. Okay, so here I have it, desktop. I'll click OK, and then I'll do a new Python 3 notebook, and I'll just print, let's see, hello world, and run that. Okay, it looks like I've got to do Command Enter here on the Mac, and then it runs that program. Okay, and then likewise you can do Jupyter Lab. Go ahead and leave this page, and I need to stop. I'll terminate this one, start a new terminal, and Jupyter Lab. Okay, so it says it's not found. Okay, so let's see. Let me figure out how to do that, and I'll start up Jupyter. Okay, it looks like I just installed the wrong thing. So let me come back here, and I'm going to pip install instead of just lab. I'll do Jupyter Lab. Okay, and it'll get some of the dependencies, and then let me just go and do Jupyter instead of Notebook. I'll try Jupyter Lab here, and then it will start up a Jupyter Lab, and I've got a notebook, console, or some of these others that I can use. So I'll go ahead and start up a notebook. So this is just a nicer integrated development environment. Okay, and I can run it, pause, go through, debug, and do different cells just like I do in a Jupyter Notebook. Okay, so that's it for this install video. A little bit longer, overall. I had to go back to Python 3.8.6 just because of some of the dependencies for packages that I want to use. Brew was not yet available. I had to run that through Rosetta 2. So I just got the installer from python.org and then did the pip package manager that way. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll post more and hopefully an update once some of these packages are available, and then I can show you Python running natively on the M1 processor instead of through the Rosetta 2